And then let me share. So thank you all for coming this afternoon. As I said, your time is really precious. So I really appreciate everyone taking this time out and being there as well. This is going to be an interactive session. There are opportunities to reflect, and there will be opportunities, obviously, to continue on with reflections and things that we start. As we said, this is a really practical, simple session. Do, dump, or delegate. And it provides a framework to really review the work we're doing and kind of the areas that we're focusing on. So really, as I said, to kind of set the scene, it's really thinking about what are our priorities, a couple of minutes, a time to really just stop and reflect on that, particularly if you're thinking about scaling, growth, or just am I in line with what I need to be doing? It's also going to be thinking about, as we said, there's so much we could do. So just really refining. But how we're also going to be doing it is from obviously our vision, from our heart as well. So it's practical, but like everything I do, it's everything is connected as well. And it's really going to start the conversation in thinking about how we can free up time and headspace. So I won't spend lots of time around this bit, but as I said, for me, what I'm really passionate about is, leadership, but also working in a way that combines all parts of us. So in a really holistic way. And as kind of many of you know, and probably Jill knows here as well, there's been a lot of things in terms of my background as well. And that's also led me to really think about leadership, but also, those different areas of creativity as well. So little icebreaker just to get us started and get into the right space. So have a little think for a minute and we can say this out loud, but just think like, first of all, what's your favorite way to unwind or decompress after a busy or a full day? And what are some positive experiences, proud moments of the week, and learning opportunities as well? So if any who wants to share, please do. If you don't, you can put in the chat as well, but just to get ourselves in ready. Gary, is that you volunteering to go first?
I'll volunteer to go first.
Lovely.
On my unwinding, I believe it or not, I love TV. So I will go and unwind in front of the TV, watching mindless garbage or whatever it is. It's something that doesn't require concentration. However, I love watching crime type things, which does require a little bit of thinking. So it's taking me away from day-to-day work and all of that. If we want to go on, if you want me to answer the next.
Yeah, go for it too.
Finally has worked for me. I had somebody contacted me saying, I'm looking for a part-time finance director, and through LinkedIn I found your name. Can we set up a meeting? So I'm meeting them at their office, their factory, on Tuesday in person, which was great. And grows, I've been doing a course with a LinkedIn course with Richard. He was on one of your events.
Richard Woods, yeah.
Richard Woods. So I've been doing a thing with him, which is actually very interesting. So yeah, that's my learnings I've done. So there's me.
Lovely. So Jill or Alessandro?
I'm on the similar lines to Gary, actually. At the end of the day, I look at the clock, and if it's 6 o'clock, I'm like, I can go and watch House of Games on BBC Two, which is a Richard Osman quiz. Yeah, and it's very British. It's very gentle. And that's all I need. And it's like, and then after that, Alan comes home and we have dinner. I don't always get to see it, but it's on every 5 days a week. So I kind of look at if I'm tapping away, I'm like, oh, it's 6 o'clock. If I just finish this quick, I can go and watch House of Games. It's my treat. But it is just so relaxing because they are so genteel and calm, and it's different ways of making your brain work. So I love that. My glows, proudest moment was last week, actually, when somebody actually joined Collaboration So by the time the meeting had finished, they'd already become a member, which was Anne Scotland.
Wow.
And that's the first time I've had people join from a phone call, and they hadn't even been to a meeting, but that was the first time that all the system worked in place for her to be able to join immediately and get all the welcomes and everything had happened. So I was like, we can do some technical stuff. It's brilliant. So that was lovely. Yeah, and my growth and my learning. Do you remember Simon Anholt, who has spoken at our events and also spoke at the Altogether Different, the policy advisor for governments and things? He introduced me to this. It's called the IDGs. I can't remember what it's called now. Yeah, there's an IDG, International Development Goals. And there's a group of very, very clever people getting together to talk about that. And that's been part of my learning. So I've been kind of, Simon's introduced me, and then somebody else has connected me up, and now there's a WhatsApp group. So I've got so much information coming my way to learn about society, and all these different people study different areas and are specialists in making our world better. So that I'm now constantly learning because of this little WhatsApp group and the events that I get to go to as a result. So I'm very happy, a little bit overwhelmed, but very happy to be doing that. And this, of course, this is my learning today.
Excellent. Love.
Wow. Well, I have, my TV hasn't been on for weeks. Like,
well done.
and I love sport. I love rugby. I love all these things. And not because I'm punishing myself. And I agree with both what Gary and Jill say. I think once I get it on, I could probably watch it for 2-3 hours. So if I don't, I'm kind of saving time, and also I'm doing things that are more aligned at the moment with what I'm looking to do. So, but this week, I suppose growth has been men's groups, a couple of men's groups. I've been in one, a live one in London near St. Paul's, which was amazing. Just, men opening up about things that maybe they normally a group, or certainly if it was a mixed group. So that's quite empowering for myself and for them as well. And then another one which was online, and that was all kinds of men from all over the world about what's it called? Can't remember the word now. Anyway, it'll come to me. But that was quite heated, and that was kind of a lot of anger and this and that coming out. So, but still, it's good to be there and realize we're all in different places. And then, yeah, was yesterday I was teaching Qigong in a retirement home in Cobham, and there was only 6 of them or 7, but lovely, lovely. Actually, they were all women, I think. Yeah, they were. And one of them was quite sort of feisty and quite sort of, and she gave me a lift to the station, and she was chatting, saying she hadn't been in touch with her daughter for 5 years, and her daughter's kind of cut her off. But she was so strong and courageous. Actually reminded me of Jill, who grew up in the East End, and she was from the East End. But this woman was tough as nails. A little Fiat 500 quite fast to the station, and I said, how old are you? She said 90. And I thought, wow. I was so inspired. I thought, she's my teacher. I'm learning from her so much about courageousness and just being brave and not being a victim, and standing for an hour, doing Qigong. Everyone else should find it easy, but some of the younger ones were sitting down. Anyway, that was quite interesting yesterday. It really uplifted me. I must do a video on that 90-year-old coming to Qigong.
Excellent. Such exciting things. So as we're going through, I just want everyone also to just kind of hold some of that in as well. So kind of, we're thinking about the practical, we're thinking about strategy, but just also thinking of it, what are the things that have excited you? How do you grow, and what's, as well. So we're coming from that kind of combined space. So again, this is a little bit of reflection, and we don't necessarily need to share unless you do want to, but we've got a couple of prompts on the screen. So just 5 minutes, really making a note, journaling, thinking about these things. And as I said, this is the kind of basis that we really want to come from as we're doing the activities moving forward. So I feel like I should have music here, but I haven't, I'm sorry. But just thinking about, the feelings, how do you want to feel kind of this year? this quarter, this month? I know we are halfway through February practically already, you know, but you know, what's important to you in terms of how you want to be, how you want to feel? You know, we've got loads of things that we want to do, but like, you know, absolutely essential. If it got to December and I hadn't achieved these things, this would be really sad. You know, I'd be or accomplish or achieve, you know, so really thinking about like what's most important to you. We're all going to do lots of things, but what's the three most important things? And we started thinking about kind of decompressing before as well, but thinking about fun, enjoyment, self-care, service, how you want to look after yourself and be looked after as well. So that could also be thinking about things we'd like to receive from other people. That's really essential as well. And we've spoken about growth, stretching, and development, you know, so that's kind of, we've looked at that a little bit already, but, you know, go into a little bit deeper into those. So, as I said, we'll give us just kind of 5 minutes to jot some things down. And as we said, don't don't overthink it. Just literally, I know you're not going to do that, but just write what comes to your mind, what comes to you instantly. And as I said, it, you know, if it's individual words, just put those words down. It isn't about kind of complete sentences or anything being perfect. It's what comes to mind. And if you've got like a vision of something as well, again, kind of really connect to that. And if anyone feels like they've got to the end of time, just before, just let us know. And as you're writing as well, think about how you're feeling, like how you're connecting also to the things that you're writing. How's it making you feel internally as you're writing it? And just about another minute, finishing off where we are. Okay, Jill, I'm going to come to you first. You don't necessarily need to share everything, but just kind of share a little bit about your reflection and how you're feeling towards those areas or the exercise.
Interestingly, just by putting a couple of things each time, I feel like it's very doable, all of it. But then my next thought was very much, this would be a piece of cake to do all of those things. But I'm very aware that there's a lot of clutter that's getting in the way, that's making me delay the stuff that I want to do.
Okay. So that's an interesting one. We're going to kind of come back to some of those pieces, but hold that thought. Brilliant. Alessandro, for yourself, what are your reflections as you're going through?
Yeah, a bit like Jill, I think writing them down is quite exciting when I see them written. I think for me, there's a few, and I think it's really being clear about the daily actions that are aligned with these goals. And one of them is creating a men's transformational circle for businessmen, helping with stress and empowering them to deal with whatever's in the way of their success. And another one is creating a circle for young men, 18 to 25, which is helping with, empowering them, helping them be resilient, supporting them through and are much more challenged, especially young men than women these days, relating to support and opening up. And yeah, then things for myself. Yeah, put 2 months travel, Sardinia. That would be nice. That excites me when I think of taking time off from, being here and really, I work so hard, including weekends. And I think, somebody said to me, just put it into your diary and it's non-negotiable. So that's exciting as well.
Excellent. That's great. And Gary, for you?
It is something I quite agree with what both Jill and Alessandro say with writing it down. Often think about it, but never write it down for yourself. So this exercise is great. How do I want to feel? I've taken it as being for the full year rather than the quarter. It's less stressful. Stress that I am at the moment. Have time that I can actually, I'm not thinking the whole time and working with regards to business, to be more relaxed and have more time, free time to do other things, and be satisfied that I've actually achieved my goals for the year, which that sort of, if I think back, think to what I'm going to be in the end of the year. Main things that I want to accomplish is to get to have a regular 15 clients on a monthly basis who are paying a membership, a subscription, rather than 15 new clients each month, and to keep that constantly. Because at the moment I'm battling to do it and to even get more than 2 clients on a monthly basis. So it's quite a challenge to get by the end of the year. What do I want to do? I want to actually go back to South Africa and have a holiday. Haven't seen my family since 2019, apart from on Zooms. Fun and energy. What do I like to have fun, enjoy myself? More active self-care. Well, get more active physically, getting out and doing more active there. I don't do sufficient, and I know I don't. So it's to build that up and do that. I only go once a week and do a park run, which is more a park walk for me than anything else. And what I want to grow and stretch during the year, it comes back confidence in probably trying to land clients or prospects, because I seem to always have problems when I get to that final ability of speaking to someone. I can see they want to sign up, but then they always find reasons not to. So it's that trying to sign them up and actually say that, yes, you will benefit from the service with your business. So getting more confidence in that. So yeah.
Brilliant. So thank you all for sharing. What I will say as well, give yourself some time to obviously go a little bit deeper into this. I know everyone said that there's a lot more to break down. There's some timelines, there's maybe more reflection. So even if it's half an hour or another hour or 15 minutes or 10 minutes, but just to sort of make it continue and keep it alive as well. But as I said, I hope it's sort of given an initial basis as well. So as we go into the next part, which we're going to start really going through that do, dump and delegate, we're coming from that basis of these questions, these areas. The 3 main things that you want to accomplish is pretty much going to be pivotal as we move forward for this next bit as well. And the feelings, the enjoyment, the how, all of that, we want to carry that forward. So it's aligned. As we know, again, just to kind of give a bit of context as well, we've all said it, lots to do, spinning, juggling constantly. We get firefighting, we get emergencies thrown in. And I know that that is going to continue to happen, but it's how we organize it, how we manage it, how we're clear about it. And like, I think, Jill, you referenced it earlier on, didn't you, that we've got lots of things that we're clear about, but there's clutter and there's things that get in the way. So it's really just about, even if we can't do anything, but sometimes just that feeling of, right, okay, I've seen it, I've heard it, I know, is almost enough to get our mind in a different space as well. So that's kind of what we're going to be thinking about. So just to sort of summarize as well, is the things that are absolutely essential. So whether it's from a money-making point of view, it really moves your business forward, you're passionate about it, it's your genius. That's kind of the things that we want to focus on. And actually, as we said, it moves things forward. Then the dump things, we're thinking about things that we might need to park. I've got on here as well, not for now. So I know sometimes people think, oh, I can't do it. Oh my gosh, this thing's important. But it's like, you might come back to it, but it's not for right now. It might not be for you. You might decide that it's going to go on the delegate list. But for right now, it needs to shift back. And that could be, it's going to be parked for this year, this month, but I just need to hold it. Things that we struggle with, things that are not in our genius, things that we have seasons in life for doing things. It could be that the season is gone and it no longer works. Or it could be also, we know that things might be right, but the way we do it might not be right. So that might also be something to think about when we're thinking about dumping. It could be the strategy, it could be the process rather than the actual whole thing. Then delegate, again, we're thinking about things that are better done in the hands of someone else, a different way. It could be automation, it could be a process that's the delegation. And they're things that we know have to happen, but not by me. So is it my time? Like I was having this conversation the other day with someone. They wanted to do a report and they were getting stressed about it because they're like, I don't understand the finance, I don't understand the way it's got to be done, but I need to learn it before I give it to someone else. And that's a really common thing. But what I was saying was actually, you don't need to learn it. You need to give it to them. It's their genius. They'll understand it. They'll get it. They'll come back and teach you. So rather than saying, right, I'm going to look at this report and I'm going to get it right, and my head is, and it's like, but you've got a list of things that you haven't actually done. And we're missing out, but yet you're spending a day on trying to learn this system. So it's thinking about that as well. The other thing as well, sometimes we may not be in the financial place, may not be emotionally ready to delegate, but even just by the act of thinking, that gets us in that place of exploration. And it's about, I think as well, when we're looking at all of these, it's about being curious and not, because it can bring up lots of emotional triggers when we go through these things. And as I said, this is kind of like an ongoing process as well for always reviewing. So what is essential, what is important at one stage may change later on as we go down the process as well. So it's just always about looking, and new opportunities will come as well. So again, this is for reflection. And I just want us to think about, what are things, first of all, that we find really, really, really difficult? Now, again, to distinguish, there are some things that are difficult for growth, and there are some things that are difficult and we're hitting our head against a wall. So it's also about kind of that caveat of understanding which one is it? Is it about growth, or is it about, I find this really difficult and actually it's not me growing, it's just me banging my head against a wall. So those might be the things that you're dumping. Things that take you forever to do. Now, again, as I said, it might be similar. There are some things that take us a while just because we haven't quite got our head around it, or there's resistance or blockage. But that's distinguishing between I'm spending all day doing, I don't know, it could be photography, trying to take my own pictures, but actually I'm not very good at it. It isn't about growing, and there's someone else that could do it. So it's thinking about it from that point of view. Things that we dislike, again, there might be some things that we dislike, but because we don't want to grow. So it's also about distinguishing it. Is it, like truly, I don't like doing this. It isn't a good use of my time, not because I just don't want to be stretched and grow. So kind of having that conversation. There might be things as well that are nice to have within our business, within our life at the moment, but maybe it's not financially viable. But again, there are things that we have on our list, but we're called to do it, even if it's not bringing financial return. So it's about, again, that level of distinguishment. Thinking about impact as well. Is it having the impact that we want it to? Now, again, we know there are things that are slow burners and really just need us to get our heads into it. But often we know we're just sort of doing it for sentimentality. So those are the things that we can also dump. We can come back to it. Then conversely, we want to think about what makes us really, really passionate, like not just from a comfort zone point of view, but from a real, this is what lights me up. This is where I feel my purpose is. And those are the elements that we really want to kind of fly with as well. And again, I make the kind of the point of this isn't about being in comfort zone, because that's a very different energy. That's a very different thing. We just stick to what we want, but really, really lights us up. Then also thinking about what strategically, so if we're talking about an actual process, a strategy, a plan, will bring you closer to our goals. I mean, we've spoken about some of the goals and the things that we want to achieve and help us to make the most impact. So it's also about, I know sometimes we get into a place of, I want to work hard, and we've all been there where we're working hard, but it's not really bringing us return. I know some of us kind of, again, it's that sort of culture of working hard. That's how you that's how successful is, if you work hard. But actually, that's not always the case. So kind of think about what in the least steps will bring me closer, what will enable me to be the most powerful, most impactful. Those are the places of the things that we want to do. And then what needs to be done, but is out of our level of expertise. And as I said, again, it's not about comfort zone, but those are the things that we want to delegate. So I'll give everyone, as I said, a couple of minutes just to really broadly go through this as well. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect sentences. It can just be initial words that kind of come at the moment. And if you also want to do it, if you've got a piece of paper and you want to draw a line and divide it in three parts to it, you can kind of put different words within the boxes if that is, again, what works for you, or just do them by lists as well. If you've got any other prompts or ways that you think as well can help you kind of really demarcate these areas, then obviously go through that as well as you're kind of jotting these notes down. And think about some recent situations maybe that you've been through, or things that have happened. So, so Alessandro, are you at a point or are you still going?
No, I've got and for me it's things like yeah, it's more the delegation. I haven't got so much
Mm.
dumping, or maybe the dumping feels like it's more to delegate, dump and delegate.
That's a good one as well, actually, because we might all be in different places as well. So that's really important. Yours is probably that season of delegation. Have you identified kind of particular things? Is there a theme around what needs to be delegated?
I have.
Good.
Yeah, I have. I mean, for me, it's things like video editing, where I might do a longish video or a podcast, which is also video. And, this thing of, putting it into 2-minute little segments, put it onto Instagram or put it onto TikTok or something, because people's consumption is so varied. Consuming, but it needs doing, but I wouldn't dump it, but I'd like to delegate it. And also, writing blogs. I'm not very good at taking time to write. And also I'd say marketing, like my membership group, getting help with marketing, which is an area that, I try and do everything myself. And that's really not even time consuming. I just don't get round to it. So for me, it's more, and bringing closer to my goals is just, I've realized recently, wake up earlier and have a list of things that I do in the mornings before, say, 8 a.m., where I'm prepared for the day, which includes, journaling, qigong, and clarity on what are the things that will take me closer to my goals. So, that getting up early and just taking more time. Otherwise, things are just not going to change in that way.
Yeah. Brilliant. So that's a very clear action for you to then think about kind of that steps to delegate, which is good. How are you feeling about that? Just kind of out of interest, delegation.
It feels a relief to name it and write it and think, oh, that's, because it's easy to think it, and then I just think, actually, I need to take some action on this. I think many of us are so busy sort of networking, and how about somebody else taking some of the pressure off, really? Yeah, so it feels a relief, actually.
Excellent. That's a brilliant word. All right, Gary.
You know
what
what Alessandro has said resonates predominantly right the way through with me. There's nothing I want to dump.
Yeah.
It's more the delegate. And the biggest issue is your fourth point, which is financially, I can't delegate it because I can't afford to go and hire a market, somebody like that. So it ends up coming on me having to do it all. What do I find extremely difficult is, in actual fact, one of the things, and I'll show you now, that's my wad of business cards, which I've accumulated. And I haven't got the time to be able to put it onto my database. Okay. So you got the same, but are they on your database, Jill? That's the thing. Mine are not on. You're on mute, Jill. We can't hear you.
Hey, I know, I feel your pain, Gary. I've got a huge cardboard box under the stairs with about 5,000 cards in. Probably some of them are on my database, but I need to get a teenager that needs some pocket money to put them on for me. That's how I see it. I haven't got around to doing it yet.
I found an app in which you can sit and take photos of, scan them in, and it actually goes into your Outlook.
Though is quite often it will scan it in and there'll be mistakes, so you think it's gone in, but you've still got to check it. And
And
takes
that's the
time.
irritation of having to go and do all of that as well.
Yeah.
That's where I am on another WOD, which I've done already. But yeah, that type of thing is what I don't enjoy. So because of that, I'm not actually doing my marketing by sending out emails and actually creating emails to be able to set and be in front of people. So that's it's almost like a catch-22 situation.
Yeah, it's that conversation as well, isn't it? Like, what are the different ways? Sorry, go, Jill.
No, I was just going to say the thing that I do is once they go into the database, the email automatically goes out to them. So I've kind of taken one step away. I don't have to write the email. So you set up an audience on MailChimp or MailerLite or wherever, and then you set up your email, and then it mail merges them, so it gives them their name, and then that database of business cards is like, hi, you know, I spotted your business card the other day. We probably haven't spoken to each other for a little just to get them in. So that takes one step away, but you've still got to put the bloody card in the first place. And I'm supposed to do like 10 a day. Yeah, 10 a day, Jill. They'll soon be gone. Do I do 10 a day? I don't do 10 a day. So yeah.
Alessandro seems to have solved the problem then. Or he sits with the same issue as we do.
It's universal, I think.
I think I literally dumped a lot of them in the bin.
Yeah, that's my thought.
I forgot that dumping, and it was such a relief to let go.
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry. Yeah, the other things which I don't, which is writing blogs and writing all of that. I battle with that. You know, even my posts. So maybe, and this is where I see the delegation, is finding and doing AI and using that to write my blogs, spend a day doing it or a half a day doing it, doing the AI, the chat GPT or whatever one it is, actually works a lot better than that, but you've got to, it's a membership of it, you've got to pay a subscription. But to do that and then edit it so that it then as if it comes from me. So it might be a couple of hours of editing and do a whole week's worth of things to schedule. And it's getting to do that. So that's where I say delegate, but it might be delegate electronically.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing as well. Delegation happens in different forms. The other thing also as well, obviously we know that finance is a real barrier, you know, but it's thinking, what are the different ways? I think, Jill, you mentioned find a teenager. There could be different ranges of VAs. There could be different ranges of support. I know for me, like I said, I've worked with like a couple of people, and that's been like the investment, you know, and it frees all that time and that headspace because you don't have to do it. So it's looking at it in different ways as well. So that will be maybe for you, Gary, for all of us. It's thinking, okay, right, this is the issue or a barrier, but actually, what could I look at? How could this work? What? And you know, you said really well about using AI. So that already takes something off you, but then it's about the editing bit afterwards, which is, again, a whole nother kind of piece and conversation. But at least it's, I think, approaching it, like I said, from curiosity. What can I do? I've identified this. This is next. Right. So that's good that we've all got those things. Again, spend a bit of time thinking about, you know, like we've identified those different areas as well. And Jill, is there anything else you wanted to share? I can't remember whether we came to you.
No, I'm in the same boat as the guys, really. I'm lucky that I've got a couple of people I do delegate to, but there's always more they can do. I always liken it to housework. There's always something else you can do when you're running a business. My biggest thing, what needs to be done that's out of your level of expertise, SEO keeps coming back to bite me on the bum. I'm always wondering, some people are out there in business without a website, and that seems to work for them. So I'm like, do I need SEO for my website, or is that stopping me from making all the other stuff work? I know Frank Finesse talks about taking it back to home base. Everything you do comes back to home base, which is your website, which is your call to action. So I think it's getting to chat to an expert and then go, right, yes, I agree, that's what I should do. How much do you charge? And then just get it off my
Yeah.
Worry about it all the time.
Mm. The other thing actually that's just come to mind, you know, a couple of us here have spoken about delegation and that being a challenge. Again, it could be thinking about it from a kind of shared services point of view. You know, could you work with a VA together? Could you approach someone and say, well, actually, you know, we want to do this, but what if we combined it? Would that give you enough hours? You know, who knows? Might not be possible, might be possible, but it might be worth thinking about that conversation as well, you know, and as I said, creative ways to get around support as well. Was there anything else anyone wanted to add about that, or their next? I mean, we're going to talk about actions and next steps, but just kind of immediate things. Why have I?
Just as a heads up, anybody that is wanting to delegate, obviously Aisha, who's in the community, is my VA, and she's a sweetheart. She's great at email marketing, if that's what your thing, and also setting up processes and project management. I want to say £30 an hour. It might be 35. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that. It might have gone up. I don't know. But yeah, it's just
that
a nice.
To be most VAs, Jill, because there's quite a few I pick neat in networking, and almost every single one is around about 30 in the £30 an hour charge.
Yeah, and I know Lizzie uses a lady in the Philippines, which is much cheaper. But I think the time difference gets a bit of a problem. But delegate it to a VA, and I think probably like getting a cleaner for your house. If you're spending 2 hours of your time cleaning your house, that's 2 hours that you could be spending time earning, creating some income for yourself. So it's that, you know, do we want to spend time doing social media or, you know, marketing or email marketing, when actually somebody else could be doing the donkey work for us, and we just do send this out and it gets sent out everywhere. And is it better to go and earn some more income and then spend some and then have to go and find income to be quick? And so it's that balance, isn't it, between what you do?
Okay, so now, as we said, we're coming to kind of the end of the workshop and the end of our hour, and starting to think a little bit about you know, what's going to be the next steps, as I said. So kind of really think about sort of your follow-up. What are going to be the actions that you're going to do following kind of this workshop, following this time? So just think a little bit about kind of takeaways and set actions. I would say maybe no more than 3 to 5 key actions that you're going to be working on following today. What's next?
Can you go back a slide, Selena, because it's gone to the last one?
Yeah.
That's it. Thanks.
No problem. And yeah, as I said as well, keep this somewhere visible as well, because as we said, writing down is really, really important. And just keeping going back to that continually.
Yeah.
Great. So when we're ready to share, please do. Gary?
Biggest takeaway? Yeah, my biggest takeaway, Selena, is to actually sit down and document this and go through and spend more time on doing this. Because it's generally things which are up here, which you think about and not documented. And I think that's, I mean, as part of what I do with my clients is to turn around and say, let's document what your plans are. And I actually do the documenting for them. But I'm not, I've got to go and do what I tell them into practice. It's, you know, as I always tell the kids, do what I say, don't do what I do. You know, that's sort of thing, is I must actually do what I say myself. So that's what my biggest takeaway I'm taking from here.
Excellent. And if you've got some clear actions or at least thoughts of things that you need to follow up on?
Yes, definitely getting my database. I can actually start doing email marketing and email updates, etc. I do have some emails that go out, and I think Jill gets one of them.
Yeah.
But that's of a specific system. It's not a generic one that I do, which I would say, what am I doing with the rest of the business which I have? So that's part of the issue. Maybe I've got to make my decision that I just move everybody onto the one which I do with, which Jill receives the one email regularly. So that's, I need to get the business cards into a database.
I'll do it if you do it.
Okay. I think I've got a few less than yours, Jill.
Yeah, you have no idea. This box is enormous. Seriously, but it's just like Alessandro said, though. I bet if I just threw them all away, I'd feel much better. But your database is your gold, so I just feel like I'd be throwing money away if I did that. These are people that I've met and shaken their hand and got on with, and they were kind enough to give me the.
Yeah. Now, Jill, I have a lot of them that are current, but I think I got rid of, because I had so many over 10 years. I had to get rid of ones that say 5 years old, where those people may be doing something different, and they still are,
Did. Yeah. But once they're in the database, you get rid of them, and they just sit there, and you can, play with them in the database and look after them. But pieces of paper on your desk do no good whatsoever. It's crazy.
But the other thing is generally when I'm doing networking and all of that, and I'd rather.
Yes.
And it's trying to get those details from LinkedIn to then get into the database, because I might never get somebody's business card because I've only met them online.
But
and so what I do generally is connect with them on LinkedIn, but it's then trying to get them on LinkedIn onto my database. And it can
once
be
you're
done
connected, you can find their email address on contact info. It's already sitting there, so you can take that, put that into your database, say, hey, we met on LinkedIn, or hey, we've connected at this event.
I agree with you. The problem I found when I did go and download my contacts on that, because you can download them into Excel. Was about 80% of them who I picked up had never gone and put their correct and updated their email addresses. So they don't have the email addresses on. So you actually can't do anything. And a lot of people don't put telephone numbers on.
Wow.
And that's the issue I've picked up with regards to the LinkedIn side is you connect
I've
with
never
them,
had that.
but the contact details it's incredible. How many people don't update their contact details?
Well, whenever I've done the spreadsheet, maybe 3 out of, I don't know, 1,000. It's weird, isn't it? I've never had that before. Pain.
Yeah.
I think it's confusing, Gary. When you export it, I've noticed there are so many different lists, and some of them have no emails and some of them have all the emails. So it's worth looking at what you've downloaded, because I found one. I thought, oh, how come they're on this? LinkedIn's a bit clunky.
That might be my issue. I could be taking wrong.
Yeah, just check everything that's downloaded. It's got different things, hasn't it, Jill? I think it's got different. Some have phone numbers, some have the date when you connected, some have more detail than others, some have countries. I don't know why it doesn't put them all in one.
Yeah. Makes sense. I think my biggest takeaway from this session is looking at that, what do you find difficult? What tasks take forever? What do you truly dislike? Even though I've got the potential to do something about it, and it's still kind of clogging my thought waves. And it's like, what do you enjoy doing? 2 things: speaking and writing. If I could just do that all day long, happy as Larry. But it's all the other stuff, admin, video editing. I don't do that. I've made a conscious effort. I'm not going to learn how to do that because that is not my thing. I'm going to pass it on to somebody else. But sometimes it's hard to pass it on to somebody else because they do. Could you just redo it and do that bit? That's human beings for you. So my biggest takeaway is I need to go away for a week. I'm going to book myself onto a retreat that I've never done before. And it's going to be my own retreat.
Excellent.
somewhere nice, and just work without the social media, without the phone going, without any meetings. Also do 5 days of just working on organizing myself. So like, that's what got to be done, who's doing it, that's got to be done, who could do it, that's got to be done, am I going to do it? And at least then I can, because there's only so many hours in the day, and while I keep thinking I can stretch time, it's not happening. So I kind of need to get realistic. That's my takeaway from today. I need to get realistic, get organized, and book time for my head to see the wood for the trees.
Excellent. Love that. That's brilliant. And Alessandro, for yourself.
Yeah, I think it's starting conversations with people I can delegate to, because I've met them. A box. And even yesterday I met two, one who does video editing, one who does marketing, and those were the two things. But for some reason I didn't think I must talk to them. I thought, I've met them, I know what they do, I'll keep this for the future, but the future's now, you know. So I've decided, biggest takeaway is have a conversation, nothing to lose, you know. And you know, often they have ideas that I may not have. That's the other thing, that they're experts in their area. This marketing woman is actually, she's a fellow of the market. There's not many apparently who are fellows, and she was asking whether to put her name, whether she should put fellow on LinkedIn, and some people said yes, some said no. So it's quite interesting. Anyway, so yeah, so I know them. Let me have a conversation. So that's my call to action. So it's kind of waking me up to acting rather than thinking I'll do that when ... You know,
And next,
Godot never arrived, did he? In the novel, Waiting for Godot. So.
Yeah. And the next stage of that as well, Sandra, the conversation.
Yeah.
So just to say hello, how are you, and have a nice chat, that's lovely. But you need to, in your mind, have that. So what are you taking them on to? Whether it's a Qigong session, or do you know what? I've said this to you guys before, but don't forget that Collaboration Global can be part of your marketing. So if you're having a nice conversation and you think, she doesn't want Qigong now, I can hear it in her voice, it's not going to work, I'm just going to invite her to a co-glow session, because that means that you get to see her again, and then you have permission after that to ask. And that's a totally innocent meeting, but you're another 2 steps forward for her potentially either recommending you or working with you.
Yeah, no, I do. Quite a few people I meet who I know are not interested in Qigong, you know, I invite them to the, you know, the groups, and they love them. You know, so that's good. You know, that's a good, you know, that's a gift in a way from you, from us to them, and very inspiring. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just so many people don't see what's in front of them, and they don't realize that, you know, don't just do it as is a nice thing for everybody, but just look at it as your marketing strategy, part of that. What else do I do? What's the purpose of my conversation? It could be and then maybe it could be that as well. So it's like, you know, have that in your mind, and also understand, this is me with my business coaching hat on, right? Also understand what your close is, because I've had conversations with people about Collaboration Global, and I didn't have a close. And I didn't ask the question, would you like to join? And they've had to ask me, so how do I join this thing then? I'm like, oh, okay. So now I understand that when I get all the buying signals, and you might get that in your conversations, is what is your last question to ask them to get them to sign up with you? Maybe that, I don't know if it's more useful for you, Gary, is having that final conversation where they're making those noises like, yeah, I really need to do this in my business. It's really tricky. I really should do something like this. And your question, Gary, could be as simple as like, so when should we start?
I know. That's exactly what my biggest issue I'm having, and this is probably price-wise. The moment I hit, and when I look at, I'm charging less than what my fellow business doctors are charging, and being in London, I should be charging more.
Yes.
And I'm finding people are saying, no, too much. And eventually I can't cut down to there being nothing.
No, but you shouldn't be discounting. You can add value, but you shouldn't be discounting. And also ask them, what's the alternative? If you can't afford to do it now, can you afford for your business to go out of business? Can you afford to go out of around adding the value to, you know, and then give them examples of other people that have had huge upsell. But yeah, you don't want to start into a negotiating thing. Don't ever drop your price.
But I often do ask people, you know, now, because people make decisions on emotion. So on the call has to be, you know, rather than send them information. I noticed now that I say, how does that sound? And if they say it's expensive, I said, well, what's your budget? And what I do now is if it, instead of a 1 hour, you go, we'll do half an hour at half the price, for example.
Yeah.
But I don't reduce the price. I just give less, or they pay every 2 weeks instead of paying upfront, for example, Gary. So it's just because things are tough, but if it's valuable to them, like I try and find a way. I said, well, look, you know, how can we make this work for you? And they might say, it's not just yes or no. I start getting into a conversation now, which I never used to. And it's quite empowering.
Yeah.
Have you come across Andy Bounds?
Yes.
Yeah, go look at some of his videos on YouTube just to remind yourself the guy knows what he's talking about. And
Yeah, he does.
He does sales like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got some great little one-liners that you're like, ah, yeah, I like that one. That's a good one. So that's handy. Sorry, Celine.
No, it's all right. That's a really good one. It's that conversation, isn't it? And if you weren't having the conversation, you wouldn't be sort of saying what you were saying, and that could help support you in what you need to do. So it's good that we've had that. So yeah, thank you everyone for being part of this workshop. I'll stop recording in a second, but again, just to sort of say, I think, Alessandra, you've accessed it, the free bonus guide. There's a free video as well. That this part of this exercise is also part of that, but there is a much fuller, again, kind of video training, and that is a really, as I said, instant download. And if anyone just needs to chat about things, reach out as well. So let me stop sharing and move this. And just to say thank you for giving up your time on a Friday. I know we are all, as I said, busy for doing, you know, people. So it's really great that we've been able to come here and that you've got some takeaways from this. And as I said, give yourself the time to really focus. And Jill, don't forget your 5 days away. Gary, don't forget that time, and Alessandro as well. Let it, you know, the conversation continue as well. So